numeracy skills are essential and the key in predicting later numeracy skills. Therefore, a clear understanding of cognitive precursor is vital in developing an effective intervention for deficiency in early numeracy. In 2010, Lefebvre et al. Explored the relationship of various cognitive predictors with early numeracy. Lefebvre et al. Pathway model demonstrate that domain general and domain specific skill contributed to early numeracy. They found that linguistic, quantitative, and spatial attention abilities form separate pathways in predicting numeracy skills. The predictive value of each pathway is depicted in the line thickness, represents strength of the link to the outcome measures. In the most previous numerical cognition theories, the executive functions processes have not consisted in their model. Evidence from previous studies demonstrated that domain general and domain specific skills are essential in the development of mathematical skills. Therefore, in 2014, Craig and Gilmore incorporate executive function skill in their model. Craig and Gilmore determine the relation of domain general executive function with domain specifics, whereby the domain general executive function composed of three main components including working memory, inhibition, and shifting, and domain-specific mathematical knowledge composed of facts, procedures, and concepts. Dash line represent relationships of the component in executive function skills and components of mathematical knowledge change with age or throughout development. This is because of young age and adult has a different knowledge of mathematical facts and procedural skills that contribute to the applications of inhibition, either less or more sophisticated strategies for problem solving. In 2017, Craig et al. Did extensive research to explore the contribution of executive function skills to components of mathematical knowledge in mathematics achievement in individuals aged between 8 and 25 years old. From this extensive research, they propose a refined hierarchical framework of the executive function corroborating mathematics. The pattern of the relation of domain general with domain specific skills is stable from 8 years to the young adult. Results show that executive working memory play a role as a predictor in overall mathematical achievement. The individual ability in holding and manipulating information in minds throughout development is strongly related to the capability to success in mathematics. However, shifting is not found has a relation with overall mathematics achievement. Inhibition showed a unique independent predictor. The relation of mathematical achievement with inhibition and shifting seems to be less consistent as compared to the relationship with working memory. Inhibition and shifting indicate in a very unique contribution to mathematics achievement. From this finding, Craig et al. In 2017 refined the existing framework of multi-component in mathematical processing and able to demonstrate the mechanism of executive functions support mathematics achievement. For detailed results and discussion, you may refer to their paper. To answer this question, what type of skills involved? Any idea? In general, we know that domain general and domain specific skills are involved. I hope that you still remember that domain specific skill composed of factual knowledge, procedural skills, and conceptual understanding, while domain general executive function composed of inhibition, shifting, and updating or working memory. Working memory linked directly with factual knowledge to recall the mathematical facts, number sense, numeracy, expressions stored in long-term memory. Working memory also linked with procedural skills to select the accurate and efficient mathematics procedures based on the mathematical facts retained in mind. Conceptual understanding appears to support the understanding in a numerical relationship, theoretical knowledge to perform the mathematical operation. For this question, you can see that we have two tasks. The first task is adding, and the second task is subtracting, which from your conceptual knowledge, you can understand that carrying when adding and removing when subtracting. Inhibition is necessary to suppress some irrelevant information. For this question, you may inhibit the first task, the adding task that involves number 123 and 51, which only holds the answer from the first task to do the mathematics process for the second task. Shifting is required to switch between different operations from the first task to the second task, which is adding and subtracting operation. From what we will discuss minutes ago, are executive function skills essential for the learning and mathematics? We actually perform mental arithmetic processes on a regular basis in everyday life. For example, to pay our ordered food, to pay for laundry, to pay for groceries. Therefore, learning of mathematics facts has been introduced since we were kids by our parents and family members at home, starting with number recognition. Then we went to school. Teachers added more mathematical facts such as operations, notation, etc. Learning of mathematics is not only to help us in our everyday life, but also for some countries, success in mathematical determines their success in society. Most of the previous findings propose executive function skills as key predictor in the individual's mathematical ability in performing arithmetic operation. Executive function skills is suggested to host and manipulate information in mind, suppress unwanted information and responses, and switching operation or strategies for flexible thinking. Evidence demonstrated that executive function skills play a vital role in the development of mathematical ability and mathematics achievement. Clearly, executive function skills show a role in the learning of mathematics. Therefore, executive function skills is proposed essential for the learning of mathematics. Are different cognitive strategies used at a different age? If we look at our own experience in mathematics processing, if we use the same question and perform the calculation at different age, for example, the question is 8 plus 7. At a young age, the arithmetic strategy seems to be less automatic and efficient as compared to old age, which to achieve levels of automatically. in solving the same arithmetic question or any simple arithmetic question. In 2003, Mackenzie et al. Experimented with two age groups of children, which are 6 and 7 years old and 8 to 9 years old. How the children or individuals at different age monitor and manipulate information from phonological and visual spatial loops. The results showed younger children, 6 to 7 years, rely on visual spatial strategies, while older children, 8 to 9 years, use mixed strategies, which is phonological and visual spatial. It is suggested that children at young age, which is 6 to 7 years old or below, the development of subvocal rehearsal is still ongoing and not fully. Therefore, other working memory mechanisms are recruited to aid arithmetic operation and performance. Different strategies might be conducted in retrieval, switching strategy, and inhibition mechanism. It is also proposed that the role of a central executive or executive function is different at different age. These findings show that different cognitive strategies at different age. In 2018, Polak and Ashby did a meta-analysis to determine the overlap of arithmetic and phonological processing in the brain for children and adults. In children's sample, the activation in the frontal regions during arithmetic processing is suggested due to attentional processes. The functions of the insular and cingulate regions is unclear in arithmetic specific. However, recent findings suggested that insular cingulate salient network play a role for cognitive control in supporting the arithmetic processing or shifting of executive control with default mode networks. The activation of the left lateralized frontotemporal occipital network is proposed for reading and phonological processing. From this meta-analysis in development sample or children sample, there are 6 common or overlap cluster activations of arithmetic and phonological processing in children, includes bilateral superior frontal gyrus, right insular, left precentral gyrus, and left fusiform gyrus. Recruitment of left superior frontal gyrus is to support number abilities but not reading. The activation of superior frontal gyrus also suggested associated with selective attention. The activation of the precentral gyrus indicates different level of interference in generating motor responses in answering the arithmetic question by pressing the response button. The activation of right insula is proposed to support attentional processes or experience of knowing the answers related to arithmetic facts or two-words rhyme. Recruitment of left fusiform gyrus is proposed to play a role in processing symbolic for identification of both number and letter or word. The adult sample demonstrates a different pattern of regions recruitment as compared to children for arithmetic and phonological processing. Recruitment of superior parietal lobule is to support processing of visual attention and number. The temporal parietal areas includes angular gyrus supporting fluent arithmetic retrieval. Additional recruitment in the frontal areas, including left inferior frontal gyrus and bilateral insula, is proposed to support arithmetic facts retrieval as well. Left lateralized cluster activation in the superior frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, inferior parietal lobule, and angular gyrus is to support reading and phonological processing. From this meta-analysis in adult sample, there are two common overlap: cluster activation of arithmetic and phonological processing in adults include left inferior parietal lobule and left inferior frontal gyrus. Activation of inferior parietal lobule, including angular gyrus, is proposed to support the connection of symbolic processing and associated verbal representation. The recruitment of inferior frontal gyrus is to support working memory demands, processes, and associated strategy skills. A qualitative or direct comparison in the conjunction analysis to look for common activation region in the developmental and adult sample shows no common clusters of brain activity. Children indicate more bilateral and spread activation than the adults to support greater reliance on working memory and attentional processes. In 2018, Arsalido and colleagues did a meta-analysis to determine brain activity associated with numbers and calculations, especially in children. The findings from the meta-analysis propose that the activation in the parietal lobes in children is to support number and calculation processes. The activation shown in the right lateralized parietal regions, such as right inferior parietal lobule, is proposed to process number tasks, and left lateralized parietal areas, such as left inferior parietal lobule, is proposed to process calculation tasks. Recruitment of right insula and left claustrum was found in solving mathematical operation. The activations of insula is suggested to support affective processes and motivated behaviors or intrinsic motivation like learning and training. The activations of the claustrum is suggested to help in integrating motivated top-down and bottom-up processes. The activation in the cingulate gyrus is proposed to play a role as the activity coordinator to coordinate multiple attentional system, multimodal functions, and task complexity. Middle frontal gyrus, also known as dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, are associated with executive-driven mental attention and working memory, which is associated with complex cognitive action. While inferior frontal gyrus is associated with more straightforward or simple cognitive action. In this figure, you can see a close agreement on brain location involved in children and adults during mathematical problem solving and prediction by the triple code model. The results showed that claustrum is the only unaccounted brain region either in the triple code model and the adult meta-analysis but observed in children. Additionally, there is critical difference shown in right insula for children and adults in calculation tasks. More extensive spatial activation is observed in children than adults. Children are proposed to need higher involvement of insula to support attentional processes in mathematical problem solving, whereas adults implicate higher involvement in prefrontal areas to support mathematical processes. Arsalido et al. 2018 proposed that parietal and frontal areas emerge as the core region associated with number processing in children. Although insula, claustrum, and cingulate gyrus are not previously recognized in a mental arithmetic network in children, From this meta-analysis, it showed that this region also involved in number processing. As for conclusion, now from this module, you may describe the cognitive skills domain and factors implicated in mathematical development and abilities. You may describe the theoretical framework in mathematical processes. You may explain the importance of executive function skills in learning mathematics. You may describe why different cognitive strategies used at different ages. You may describe the brain structures and functions related to domain general and domain specific skills. Thank you and have a nice day.